Ladies and gentlemen, in the great journey of life, we are often confronted with events that are beyond our control. A smile from another person, perhaps a fleeting moment of kindness, may seem inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Yet, if we approach life with the philosophy of the Stoics, we come to realize that it is not the events themselves, but our response to them that shapes the course of our existence. Change is an inherent and unavoidable part of the human experience. It comes in many forms, whether it's a shift in our personal circumstances, the evolution of relationships, or the natural cycles of life. Change is, in fact, the only constant we can rely on. The Stoics, in their profound wisdom, embrace this fundamental truth, recognizing that the external world is in a perpetual state of flux, while our internal world can be anchored in peace, no matter what happens around us. To them, change was neither something to be feared nor resisted, but rather something to be accepted and navigated with equanimity. The Stoic idea of change teaches us that, while we cannot control what happens to us, we can control how we respond to it. The human tendency is often to view change as something unsettling, something that disrupts the familiar, the comfortable, the predictable. We resist it because it challenges our sense of stability and often forces us to confront our own limitations or vulnerabilities. This resistance, the Stoics argue, only adds unnecessary suffering to the experience of change. By clinging to the past or fearing the future, we miss the opportunity to engage with the present moment as it is, not as we wish it to be. The Stoic philosophy offers a different perspective on change. It invites us to see change not as something outside of our control, but as something that can be embraced and used to strengthen our character. We are taught to understand that everything around us, the people we meet, the events we encounter, the triumphs and tragedies we face, is fleeting, and thus nothing is truly permanent. This impermanence is a natural law of the universe, and by accepting it, we can begin to live more harmoniously with reality. Acceptance of change does not mean passivity or resignation. The Stoics are clear that we must act in accordance with reason, making the most of the opportunities that change provides. In fact, it is through change that we often discover our greatest potential, as it challenges us to grow, to adapt, and to reevaluate our beliefs, values, and goals. For example, when we experience the loss of something dear to us, whether a job, a relationship, or a sense of security, we are faced with the choice of how to respond. The external circumstances are beyond our control, but our response to those circumstances is entirely within our power. Do we choose to become bitter and resentful, or do we embrace the opportunity to reflect, to learn, and to begin anew? The Stoic approach to change involves cultivating an inner attitude of *apatheia*, which is not indifference, but freedom from destructive emotions like anger, fear, and sorrow. This state of mind allows us to meet life's challenges with resilience and clarity. It is important to note that this doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring our emotions. Rather, it means understanding that emotions arise from our judgments and perceptions, which are in our control. If we can train ourselves to recognize that change is a natural part of life, and that it is not inherently good or bad, we can choose to approach it with calmness and composure. Moreover, the Stoics encourage us to see change as a teacher. Every new phase of life brings with it lessons that are essential for our personal growth. We can learn from both our successes and our failures, from moments of joy and moments of pain. Change, therefore, becomes an ongoing process of learning, an opportunity to refine our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. By acknowledging the inevitability of change, we free ourselves from the unnecessary stress of trying to control or avoid it. Instead of resisting, we can begin to flow with it. Much like a river that shapes its course by moving around obstacles, we can navigate through life's changes with grace and wisdom, confident that each change is an opportunity to become more aligned with our true nature. It is not the changes themselves that matter, but how we meet them. By adopting a Stoic mindset, we can learn to meet all of life's transitions with resilience, clarity, and purpose, knowing that change is simply another step in our continual journey towards self-mastery and inner peace. The distinction between what is within our control and what lies beyond it is central to Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that the key to a peaceful and fulfilled life is to focus on what we can control, while accepting that we have no power over external events. This clear distinction is not only a means to emotional stability, but also a guide to living virtuously and rationally in a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable. When we speak of control, it is essential to understand that the Stoics are not advising us to give up on trying to shape the world or our circumstances. What they are suggesting is that we must learn to recognize what is truly ours to influence. External events, such as the actions of others, the weather, economic fluctuations, or even the larger course of history, are all beyond our control. These things can affect us, challenge us, and even cause us pain or discomfort, but ultimately they lie outside the realm of our direct influence. What we can control, however, is how we respond to these events, how we interpret them, and how we allow them to shape our inner life. This Stoic insight is not a call for passivity or resignation, but rather an invitation to focus on the only aspect of life that we truly have the power to transform: our own thoughts, attitudes, and actions. By shifting our attention to what is within our control, our judgments, our values, and our decisions, we can preserve our tranquility regardless of the storms that may rage outside. Consider, for example, a situation in which we are wronged by someone. The act of being wronged is an external event. It is not something we can control. What we can control, however, is our response. We can choose to become angry, resentful, or vengeful, letting the actions of another person govern our emotions and state of mind. Alternatively, we can choose to reflect on the situation with a calm mind, examining our own role in the matter and responding with wisdom, compassion, and self-restraint. In doing so, we take control of our internal world, aligning ourselves with the Stoic principle of virtue and maintaining our peace. This idea extends to all aspects of life, from our personal relationships to our professional endeavors. The Stoics teach that we must not allow our sense of well-being to be dependent on the actions or opinions of others. While it is natural to want approval, success, or affection from those around us, it is ultimately a fruitless endeavor to base our happiness on the behaviors of others. The opinions, decisions, and feelings of other people are beyond our control. Instead, we must focus on cultivating a sense of worth that is grounded in our own virtues, our ability to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. In this context, the Stoic approach to external control is not about detaching from the world or avoiding relationships. Rather, it is about understanding that our peace is not dependent on how others behave, but on how we choose to respond. It teaches us that external events are opportunities for growth, for refining our character, and for practicing self-mastery. By understanding the limits of our control, we can avoid the frustration, anger, and despair that often arise when we try to change things beyond our influence. This perspective is particularly powerful in times of adversity. Life will inevitably present us with challenges, loss, illness, failure, or conflict, and these are all things beyond our control. However, what we can control in these situations is how we approach them. We can choose to meet hardship with resilience and grace, or we can allow it to overwhelm us. The Stoics urge us to focus on maintaining our inner tranquility, knowing that by controlling our response to external events, we are exercising the highest form of power, the ability to govern our own mind. In summary, the Stoic view of control teaches us that while we cannot always shape the circumstances of our lives, we can always choose how to meet them. By acknowledging what is within our control and letting go of what is not, we free ourselves from the tyranny of external events. Instead of becoming slaves to the unpredictability of the world, we become masters of our own responses, ensuring that our peace remains steadfast no matter the chaos that surrounds us. This understanding not only leads to emotional freedom, but also empowers us to live more virtuous and purposeful lives. In the realm of Stoic philosophy, one of the most powerful concepts is the idea that our perception of an event is more important than the event itself. The Stoics teach us that while we cannot control the circumstances that arise in our lives, we have the ultimate power to control how we interpret and respond to those circumstances. This shift in perspective is crucial to achieving inner peace and tranquility, and it is a central tenet in navigating the complexities of life with wisdom and resilience. Our lives are constantly filled with a variety of external events, both positive and negative, that seem to dictate our emotional responses. The loss of a job, a disagreement with a loved one, or a moment of public failure can evoke intense emotions such as fear, sadness, or anger. On the surface, these events may appear to have the power to shape our emotional state. However, the Stoic philosophers argue that it is not the event itself that causes us distress, but rather the judgments we make about it. This insight transforms the way we view suffering and hardship. It teaches us that we are not passive victims of life's circumstances, but active participants in how we experience the world. To illustrate this, consider a simple yet profound example. Two people may face the same external challenge, such as losing their job. One person may respond with despair, frustration, and self-blame, interpreting the event as a personal failure. The other may choose to view the loss as an opportunity to reassess their goals, refine their skills, or pursue a new career path. In both cases, the external event, the loss of a job, is identical, yet the emotional responses differ vastly. The Stoic perspective teaches us that the difference in how these two individuals react is due to their differing interpretations of the same circumstance. It is the perception of the event, not the event itself, that determines the emotional outcome. This principle is at the heart of Stoic thought. By recognizing that our judgments shape our reality, we can cultivate the ability to alter our emotional responses by reframing our perceptions. The Stoics emphasize that we should train ourselves to view challenges and obstacles as opportunities for growth and self-improvement. Rather than seeing difficulties as setbacks, we can choose to see them as valuable lessons that reveal our strengths, virtues, and resilience. This shift in perspective enables us to approach life with a mindset of empowerment rather than victimhood. Furthermore, this Stoic approach to perception also encourages us to focus on the present moment. Often, our distress arises not from what is happening right now, but from the stories we tell ourselves about the past or the future. We may ruminate on past mistakes or worry about future uncertainties, which only serve to cloud our judgment and heighten our anxiety. The Stoics remind us that the present is all we truly have control over, and that by cultivating a clear and rational perception of the present moment, we can navigate life with greater clarity and composure. One of the most powerful tools in Stoic philosophy for reframing our perception is the practice of negative visualization, the intentional exercise of imagining the loss of what we hold dear. This practice helps to build resilience and prepare the mind for the inevitable challenges that life will bring. By regularly contemplating the impermanence of things, we can develop a deeper appreciation for the present moment and become less attached to outcomes. This exercise is not meant to induce fear or despair, but to help us approach life's fluctuations with an attitude of acceptance, understanding that everything, our possessions, relationships, and circumstances, can change at any time. In addition, the Stoics teach us to focus on what is in our control when it comes to our perceptions. While we cannot always change the events that happen to us, we can control our internal responses, our attitudes, and our actions. By focusing on cultivating wisdom, courage, and self-discipline, we ensure that our responses to life's challenges are grounded in virtue rather than in emotional impulses or external circumstances. In doing so, we are better able to navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life with a calm and rational mind. In conclusion, the Stoic view on perception reveals that the way we interpret events plays a pivotal role in shaping our emotional and psychological state. By recognizing the power of perception, we are empowered to reframe challenges, embrace difficulties as opportunities for growth, and approach life's uncertainties with equanimity. The Stoics encourage us to cultivate an inner resilience that is not dependent on external events, but on our ability to see the world clearly, act with virtue, and maintain a rational perspective, no matter what comes our way. The Stoic philosophy places a significant emphasis on the role of rationality in human life, viewing it as the defining trait of our nature. Stoicism teaches that, as human beings, we possess the unique capacity to govern our thoughts, emotions, and actions through reason. It is through this rationality that we can achieve self-mastery, live virtuously, and find true peace amidst the chaos of the world. The Stoics argue that our ability to exercise rational thought is not merely a gift, but a responsibility. It is this rationality that allows us to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and to make choices that are in line with our highest values and principles. One of the core ideas of Stoicism is that we must cultivate the ability to align our actions and judgments with reason, rather than being driven by unchecked emotions or impulses. In moments of adversity, for example, our immediate emotional responses, fear, anger, or anxiety, can often cloud our judgment and lead us to make decisions that are reactive rather than thoughtful. The Stoics suggest that, instead of allowing our emotions to govern us, we should pause, reflect, and use our reason to evaluate the situation objectively. By doing so, we can make choices that are grounded in virtue, rather than in the turmoil of emotional reactions. This focus on rationality also extends to the way we interpret external events. While the world may present us with circumstances that are beyond our control, it is within our power to approach those circumstances with a rational mindset. The Stoics teach us to view events not as inherently good or bad, but as opportunities for growth, learning, and the practice of virtue. Through reason, we can assess what is happening around us and determine how we will respond, making decisions based on what is right and just, rather than what is emotionally convenient or self-serving. In this way, Rationality becomes a guiding force that helps us make choices that are aligned with our highest principles and ultimately lead us to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Moreover, the Stoics encourage us to use reason to maintain perspective in the face of life's challenges. The human tendency is often to become overly focused on immediate difficulties, allowing them to dominate our thoughts and emotions. In such times, our rational capacity can help us step back and view the situation from a broader perspective. For example, when faced with a personal setback, reason can help us recognize that this moment, like all moments, is temporary. By using our rational mind to keep our emotions in check, we can avoid falling into despair or hopelessness and instead find ways to learn from the experience and move forward with clarity. Rationality also plays a key role in how we relate to others. The Stoics remind us that, as social beings, we must act in accordance with justice and fairness in our interactions with others. Reason enables us to understand the needs, rights, and perspectives of those around us, allowing us to act in ways that contribute to the common good. By using our rational faculties, we are able to engage with others not from a place of self-interest or emotional reactivity, but from a place of empathy, understanding, and respect. This approach fosters harmonious relationships, as we are less likely to act impulsively or allow our emotions to dictate our behavior. Importantly, the Stoics emphasize that rationality is not merely an intellectual exercise, but a way of life. It is through the consistent application of reason in our daily actions that we develop self-mastery and virtue. In every moment, we are presented with choices, small and large, that require us to exercise our rational faculties. Whether it is choosing to act with patience rather than frustration, to practice gratitude instead of resentment, or to face a difficult situation with courage rather than fear, each decision is an opportunity to cultivate our rationality and live in accordance with our highest ideals. In essence, Stoicism teaches that the key to a good life lies in our ability to exercise reason, to govern our emotions and reactions with clarity, and to align our actions with virtue. Rationality, in the Stoic view, is not just a mental process, but a path to self-mastery, ethical behavior, and peace of mind. By practicing rationality in our thoughts, decisions, and interactions with others, we become more resilient in the face of life's challenges, more virtuous in our character, and more at peace with ourselves and the world around us. Through the disciplined use of reason, we can transform our lives, becoming more aligned with nature and more capable of living according to our highest potential. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies the idea of cultivating virtue and self-mastery. Virtue for the Stoics is the highest good and the only true source of happiness. It is the foundation upon which a life of wisdom, integrity, and peace is built. Unlike material wealth, external success, or fleeting pleasures, virtue is something that is within our control. It is an inner quality that can be developed and refined over time through deliberate practice and reflection. The Stoics teach that it is not the external circumstances of our lives that determine our happiness, but the virtuous way in which we respond to those circumstances. To understand the Stoic concept of virtue, we must first explore its core components: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom is the ability to see the world clearly and to make decisions based on reason and understanding rather than on emotion or impulse. It allows us to align our actions with what is truly good, regardless of external pressures. Courage is the strength to face challenges, difficulties, and discomforts with resilience and determination. It is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act virtuously in spite of fear. Justice involves acting with fairness and integrity, considering the needs and rights of others, and striving for the common good. Lastly, temperance is the practice of self-control, moderation, and balance, particularly in our desires and passions. Together, these virtues form the Stoic ideal of living a life that is in harmony with nature, reason, and the greater good. Self-mastery, on the other hand, is the ability to govern our emotions, thoughts, and actions in a way that is consistent with virtue. It is the practice of exercising control over our impulses and desires, not allowing them to dominate our decisions or lead us astray. The Stoics believed that much of human suffering arises from a lack of self-mastery. When we allow ourselves to be ruled by fleeting emotions or external circumstances, we lose sight of what is truly important and become vulnerable to unnecessary pain and turmoil. By cultivating self-mastery, we regain control over our own lives and empower ourselves to act in ways that are aligned with our highest values and goals. One of the key aspects of Stoic self-mastery is the practice of apatheia, which is often misunderstood as indifference or emotional detachment. In fact, apatheia does not mean a lack of emotion, but rather the freedom from destructive emotions like anger, envy, or excessive attachment. It is the ability to experience life's ups and downs with a calm and rational mind, without allowing emotions to cloud our judgment or overwhelm us. Apatheia enables us to respond to situations with clarity and virtue, rather than reacting impulsively or being carried away by negative feelings. Achieving self-mastery, according to the Stoics, requires constant effort and discipline. It is not something that happens overnight, but rather a lifelong process of reflection, practice, and growth. The Stoics believed that by consciously choosing to act in accordance with virtue, we could gradually transform ourselves into the best versions of who we are capable of becoming. Each moment offers us the opportunity to practice self-mastery, whether it is in the way we react to a difficult situation, how we treat others, or how we manage our desires. Every decision is a chance to refine our character and move closer to living in alignment with our highest ideals. Moreover, the Stoic pursuit of virtue and self-mastery is not done in isolation. The Stoics emphasize the importance of community and social relationships, as these provide ample opportunities for practicing justice, compassion, and empathy. Virtue is not something that can be fully realized in isolation. It is something that is honed and tested in our interactions with others. By acting with integrity, fairness, and respect, we contribute to the common good and fulfill our role as social beings. Ultimately, the Stoic goal is not to eliminate all desires or emotions, but to cultivate the ability to manage them in a way that supports our growth as virtuous individuals. By developing wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, and by practicing self-mastery in our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we can achieve a life that is fulfilling, meaningful, and at peace with the world. In this way, virtue becomes not only the means by which we navigate life's challenges, but also the true source of happiness and contentment, independent of external circumstances. The Stoic path to virtue and self-mastery is a path of continual improvement, grounded in the understanding that our power lies not in changing the world around us, but in mastering our own inner world. The Stoic perspective on peace and fulfillment offers a profound insight into how we can achieve lasting tranquility, regardless of external circumstances. Unlike conventional ideas of happiness, which often rely on material success, pleasurable experiences, or the approval of others, The Stoic understanding of peace is grounded in internal factors that are entirely within our control. For the Stoics, peace is not a fleeting emotion or a temporary state of mind that arises from favorable conditions. It is a deep, lasting quality of the soul that comes from living in accordance with virtue, rationality, and nature. The first principle behind Stoic peace is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. Many of us spend a significant portion of our lives striving to control things that are beyond our influence, such as the actions of others, the state of the world, or the unpredictable twists of fate. This futile attempt to control the uncontrollable leads to frustration, anxiety, and often a sense of powerlessness. The Stoics teach us that true peace comes from accepting the things we cannot change and focusing our efforts only on what we can control, our thoughts, attitudes, and responses. By internalizing this distinction, we free ourselves from the burden of trying to control the uncontrollable and can instead direct our energy toward cultivating inner resilience and strength. Moreover, the Stoics emphasize that peace arises from aligning our actions with virtue rather than external rewards or validation. Virtue, such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, is the only true source of fulfillment in the Stoic worldview. By living virtuously, we are acting in accordance with our highest nature, and this creates a sense of harmony within ourselves. This harmony is the foundation of Stoic peace. When we focus on living in a way that is consistent with our values, whether it is by practicing kindness, exercising self-control, or making decisions based on reason, we naturally experience a deep sense of fulfillment. It is not external success, wealth, or popularity that brings us lasting peace, but the satisfaction of knowing that we are living authentically with integrity and wisdom. Another key aspect of Stoic peace is the practice of mindfulness and reflection. The Stoics believed that to achieve inner peace, we must regularly reflect on our thoughts, actions, and experiences. This reflective practice allows us to identify areas where we might be reacting impulsively, holding on to negative emotions, or acting contrary to our values. By becoming more aware of our inner life, we can begin to correct our thoughts and behaviors, steering ourselves back toward virtue and tranquility. This continual process of self-examination not only helps us refine our character, but also provides us with a clearer perspective on the challenges we face, enabling us to approach them with a calm and measured response. The Stoics also advocate for embracing adversity as a natural and essential part of life. Rather than seeing difficulties and hardships as obstacles to our peace, they teach us to view them as opportunities for growth and development. Every challenge we face, whether it is a personal loss, a professional setback, or a health crisis, presents us with a chance to practice resilience, courage, and wisdom. Instead of becoming overwhelmed by these external events, we can choose to respond with virtue, learning from the experience and emerging stronger and more capable. In this way, adversity becomes a tool for cultivating inner strength and maintaining peace in the face of life's uncertainties. Additionally, the Stoics remind us that attachment to external things, whether it is wealth, status, or relationships, can be a source of suffering and disturbance. While these things are not inherently bad, the Stoics warn against becoming overly attached to them or allowing them to define our sense of self-worth. By practicing detachment, we free ourselves from the emotional volatility that comes from relying on external circumstances for our happiness. This detachment does not mean abandoning relationships or desires, but rather recognizing that our peace should not depend on them. By anchoring our sense of fulfillment in our inner life, we maintain a sense of stability regardless of the fluctuations of the external world. Ultimately, Stoic peace is the result of an ongoing commitment to living in alignment with reason, virtue, and nature. It is not a passive state, but an active practice that requires self-discipline, reflection, and the continuous application of Stoic principles. When we cultivate this inner peace, we become less susceptible to the ups and downs of life. We learn to navigate challenges with resilience and composure, viewing them as opportunities for growth rather than threats to our happiness. Through the pursuit of virtue, acceptance of what is beyond our control, and the cultivation of mindfulness, we can achieve a profound and lasting peace that transcends external circumstances and remains steady regardless of the changes in our lives. In essence, the Stoic ideal of peace is not a fleeting moment of happiness, but a deep, lasting tranquility that comes from living according to our highest values and recognizing the impermanence of external events. It is the peace that arises from within when we focus on what we can control and align our lives with reason and virtue, finding fulfillment not in external rewards, but in the integrity of our own character. In conclusion, the Stoic philosophy offers us a profound roadmap for living a life of peace, fulfillment, and wisdom. It teaches us to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot, empowering us to focus our energy on shaping our own thoughts, actions, and attitudes, while accepting the inevitable uncertainties of the external world. Through the cultivation of virtue, rationality, and self-mastery, we gain the ability to navigate life's challenges with resilience and grace, aligning ourselves with the highest ideals of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. The Stoics remind us that true peace is not found in material wealth or external success, but in the cultivation of an inner life rooted in virtue and guided by reason. By reflecting on our thoughts and behaviors, practicing mindfulness, and embracing adversity as a means for growth, we can develop a lasting tranquility that is unaffected by the inevitable ups and downs of life. In doing so, we free ourselves from the pursuit of fleeting pleasures and external validation, and instead find fulfillment in our ability to live virtuously, in harmony with nature, and in alignment with our true selves. Ultimately, the Stoic path is not about seeking perfection, but about continual self-improvement and the unwavering commitment to live in accordance with the principles of reason and virtue. By embracing this philosophy, we can transform our lives, achieving a sense of inner peace and lasting fulfillment, regardless of the circumstances that arise. As the Stoics have taught us, it is not the world outside of us that shapes our happiness, but the thoughts and choices we make within. Through the practice of Stoic principles, we can unlock the power of our own minds and hearts, creating a life of purpose, integrity, and true contentment.